Hello there everyone, I am Wardy here today to bring you a guide on TY's free command center opening in TvP, which he showcased multiple times over the last weekend when he was playing in DreamHack Winter over opponents such as Parting, Lilbo, Puck and some others. The full build order is going to be shown on the left hand side of the screen, but if you want it written in full you can click the link to the top right of your screen right now or down below in the description to go to the full written guide for this build order. We're also going to be talking a little bit about general TvP, defending early on and how to play out the mid game as well. So hope you enjoy, let's get into this game. So today we're going to talk about this fast free command center opening which TY did a lot over the weekend at DreamHack. I really like this build. I first saw it when he played it against Majestic, which was a series I was casting. He played it twice in a row, and after playing on the ladder, it really is such a nice build to learn and to have in your arsenal because it's a very strong economic based opening. It's very safe. Pretty much no aggression will kill you early on. Because you have all the tools you have to defend it, as long as you're able to position well and to scout well, which is what we're going to talk about early on in this guide. We're going to talk a lot about kind of the early game, what you're meant to scout, and how you can react and defend against aggression. Taking you into the mid game as well, it sets you up in a great position with a strong free command center play, of course, lots of economy, the ability to have all of your tech up and running at a reasonable time, so that for the rest of the game, you're set up, ready to go, and ready to kick some Protoss butt. So far this has been a very simple Reaper expand opening. We see the Reaper on the way and an expansion dropping down in the natural position for TY. He's also got an SCV across the other side of the map, which is getting him early information. So he's getting information such as, is there a Nexus down? Is there fast double gas? So immediately he's ready to react and change his build. Should he see a double early gas, he's like, okay, a bit of an earlier engineering bay is needed here. Get a couple of turrets up in case of some fast Oracle play. It's not going to be an issue in this game, but what we're going to be seeing throughout here is TY continuously scouting and trying to find out exactly what his opponent's doing so that he is prepared and as safe as possible for the rest of the game. This build's really great on most maps. It's obviously best on maps such as Orbital Shipyard and Dust Towers with that in-base natural because it just makes it so much easier to defend earlier on. But even on maps like Prion Terraces, which we see here, Ruins of Seras as well, even Arena, they're then the kind of next set of maps which this is really great on, because when you move out to defend your third base, what you're going to see is that the tank line is able to defend your third and the natural at the same time, which is absolutely perfect. There's that fast third command center coming down right now for TY. Notice he's got a reactor up on the barracks, and he's also got a factory on the way. So that's going to be for an early Cyclone, preparing to defend here early on. So this is all off of one gas until about 3:30 when he takes a second gas. This is a bit of a mistake. He definitely wasn't meant to scan there, as TY does slip up a little bit. So far he has got a Reaper and he's SCV scouted. He's been poking it a little bit with the Reaper, but it's more important for him to keep that Reaper on the map than it is for him to dive in and lose it through a photon overcharge. And that's because with the Reaper on the map, you're going to see any aggression coming towards you. And if you can see aggression coming your way, you can reposition your units towards the front of your base, ready to defend. If you don't see aggression coming your way frontally, then all you have to do is leave your units towards the main base, where they're going to be able to defend drop play, which is the other early way in which you're going to take damage. And in fact, it's the most common way of taking damage early in the game in TvP nowadays. So with TvP having flipped a little bit in Legacy of the Void, with the Terran player wanting to be the guy, or wanting to be the player who goes to that late game position, you know, they don't want to be super aggressive early game anymore. It really is about minimizing the damage you take and getting into that late game in a good position, or surviving long enough to get to that late game. And again, that's exactly what this build is about. You see siege tank production starting now. TY in this game is going to go up to just 2 siege tanks. Generally, he goes up to 3. It sort of depends what he scouts or how he's feeling. And there's another couple of differences in this game compared to the other games too. In fact, usually he already has a second barracks down and Stimpak able to start. He's actually already usually got a third gas as well. The build order that's written in the kind of written guide, and that also is popping up on the left side of your screen, is the build order which I feel is the most efficient way to do this. For whatever reason in this game, TY did whatever and wasn't quite on par with his other games of execution with this. So we do see a bunker going down the main base right now as he tries to get some further information with that Reaper. At this point, he knows there's probably not a kind of 2 base timing coming. It's getting towards that point where 3 base timing should be hitting, so trying to get some information. 5 minutes is generally when he will first scan, and again, he doesn't in this game because he's obviously just confident that his opponent's not going to. Drops down his engineering base now as well, getting set up for that mid-game composition as well. Let's go back to that bunker that I put in the main base. You're not going to see it quite on screen here, but this is what I mean about this build being all about your defense early on. There it is there. Put some Marines in it and just leaves it there. And he actually leaves them there all game long because the less damage you take, the longer you survive, and the better a position you're actually going to be nowadays in TvP, which we're going to talk a little bit more as we get into the kind of mid-game discussions of this build, which will start in about a minute or so. So you can see how he is getting in towards his mid-game. +1/+1's on the way, Stim's on the way, albeit a little late, but he's in a position here where he can move out, he can set up his siege tanks at his third base, protect his natural at the same time. All them upgrades are coming up, starport will come down now as well, and again, he's not in a rush to move across the map and do damage, which is why it's completely fine for him here to be just slowly building up these upgrades. As long as he's set up defensively, he's going to be okay, and he has got a couple of tanks out, which helps a lot. He's got a turret here in the natural as well, looking to deflect War Prism play. Now, he won't turret up the main base for a while, but this is the sort of thing you want to be doing as you move towards your third base. Cover your bases, shut down the aggression. Say on Dusk Towers, your natural only has one real entrance, which you can get in with a War Prism. So that's where you're going to leave the Cyclone, and later on add a turret to help deflect that War Prism play. You want to put turrets in really kind of great positions to be able to force your opponent away and force your opponent from being able to slow you down as you try and get into your mid-game. And the mid-game is where we pretty much are now. His upgrades are finishing up, and again, early on, nothing is going to really be able to kill you, providing you've scouted well, dropped a scan if necessary, and whatever else. You've got that early Cyclone to defend with, you've got early siege tanks. It's very difficult to slip up. Warlofts, of course, very important too, as are identified here, so that's something to always keep in mind as well. Now, let's talk about mid-game TvP. I don't want to talk so much about the build anymore. I want to talk about what is the goal in mid-game TvP nowadays. Generally what it's going to be is just not taking bad fights, and here and there slowing your opponent down, but for the most part, you just want to be sitting back and building up your army, letting the Protoss, if they want to stop you getting that late game army, they have to attack into you. So you just want to move in towards your fourth base around 10 minutes. You just want to sit here, and again, this is a great build to get you into the mid game. This is why I love playing it so much right now, because with these siege tanks, it really says to the Protoss player, look, you can't attack me, right? You know, if you want to try and attack me, it's just not going to go well for you. TY always here, what we're going to see is consistently move out with the single Marines, move out with the Cyclone, and try and get something done. We see some War Prism aggression here, so you had a little bit of a lack of vision to the left-hand side, something which could have been improved, but you see a bunker already in place, helping out a lot. He's also got 2 drops moving out to the map, so while he's not coming in over the map with all of his, units, he is going to harass and try and slow down the Protoss player so that he himself can get in a better position, but he's always going to leave enough at home so that he can defend. And that's the important part here. While he's being aggressive, at the same time at home, he's also got more than enough to defend while he continues to build up. Once he reaches that 4 medevac count, he starts heading into the Liberator production, and so on. So we're going to move forward a little bit in the game here and just get to a bit of a later stage where TY's been building up for a little bit throughout the mid-game. And you can see that he's built up a higher Liberator count, he's got a second reactive starport, he's able to keep making Liberators, and this whole strategy comes around holding a central defensive position and then using small drops, which isn't so much of your army that you can't deal with it, which you can't deal with a big attack through the middle. You can see very defensive setup here in the center, nothing can attack him, but he's using these drops to the north side, top right of the map right here, to distract a little bit, see what damage he can do while he continues to build up. It distracts his opponent in this game, allowing him to make sure his fourth base is secure, allowing him to continue to take expansions throughout the game. And again, this kind of dance now is one of the most important things. So he sees the army to the top right. Great, you know what that means? It means he can move over to the left-hand side and try and shut down an expansion over here. And again, these, are a bit of a bigger force than what we were seeing earlier, but it all comes down to the fact he's got a very central defense, which is pretty much impenetrable by the Protoss player, unless the Protoss is going to take a lot of damage and trade very inefficiently, which they can't afford to do with these drops on the map. They can't afford to be inefficient, because if they're inefficient, guess what? all of a sudden they're going to lose the game because they don't have the economy to back it up, because these drops should be doing damage if they're committed so heavily through the middle of the map. And it's kind of a really beautiful way to play, you know. It's very smart, it's very high action, it's very exciting to play, and it just makes you feel good when you pull it off well. Again, you see he's drawn the army down to the bottom left, so guess what? Now's the time to try and hit that top right again. Again, you're very, prepared in the middle, and all this time you're getting brilliant map control, map vision, so that you know where your opponent's army is, and you know where you need to move to defend your own bases. And again, this is all amplified. The ability to do all of this is amplified very simply by the fact that you opened up with them siege tanks, which helped to secure that central position at an early point in the game. Warp Prism play, get a few more turrets as the game goes on. Just make sure you're safe, make sure you can survive, because once you reach a high enough Liberator count, you can start adding some ghosts in as well. And from there, what does the Protoss do? It's very difficult for them to do anything effectively. Now TY moves onto the map with a bit of a bigger force, you'll see he still leaves a central force back at home to defend. And it's because he knows his opponent's out of position with his army, and he knows he can get in a position here where he can punish a base, because he's been so active on the map, because he's given himself that map vision. The rest of this game is really great, but I'm just going to cut you off here, guys. The replay for this is in the DreamHack replays, which I'll link to in the written guide, so make sure you do go check that out. And again, you can see all the variations TY does with this throughout his games at DreamHack. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you leave a like down below. Let me know if you try out this build on the ladder, and also remember to hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Until next time, have a good one, and good luck on the ladder. Hello there, guys, I am Wardy, and I'm here today to bring you another guide. This time, I've been inspired by State's replay pack, as I've been looking at a little bit of his PVT. We're going to be looking at an aggressive Warp Prism Adept drop opening, which then follows up with Dark Templar play. If you want to see the replay pack for yourself...